All right, and we are back. We are back with, and just please let me know if I'm mispronouncing anything. Kaze and the Wild Mask, played by Miinfin.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows how to say Kaze right, because everybody says it one way or the other.
Yeah, I like that a lot better. So yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw it on over to you, and as always, good luck, have fun.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, my name is Miinfin. I will be running Kaze and the Wild Masks. We're going to be doing 80% casual, no level skips. I currently hold the world record in this, so it's going to be, hopefully I can kind of set a new one today. But essentially, basis of this is like if you guys have played anything like Donkey Kong Country or Rayman, anything like that, you'll have a general idea of what this game is like. So with that, we're going to get going in just a moment in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Now, as speedrunners, we all know that cutscenes suck, so we're going to be skipping all of the cutscenes in here because they waste time. Unfortunately, this small little intro right here, we have no way to stop. But, just a quick intro, is there are 2 modes. There's casual and original. Original is a little tougher because you only have 2 total health points throughout a stage and 1 checkpoint. In casual, you have 3, and sometimes, like, depending on where you die, it's a little more forgiving, and it'll drop you off later on in the stage. So what we're doing here is, the main way that Kaze moves around is just, missing platforms is apparently a great way of moving around. But she spins. Now the cool thing about the spin animation is lasts over this. And so it lasts over pit, so it allows us to jump while we're in that animation. So, I mean, the first level's pretty simple. We're literally just running along and trying to make it to that goal as fast as possible. Now you see this ending screen. There's multiple holes. We want to avoid pretty much everything in the level, because the longer we spend it at that end screen, the more time it takes us to get to this next level. So a lot of the first hub is simple levels. It's gradually breaking into some of the game's mechanics, like if you spin into a jelly like that, you actually just instantly jump max height, which can come in handy in a couple stages, like here. So we're actually going to take advantage of the spinning off, so we actually get max distance there. Now one thing about this level is, one thing about the enemies, you'll notice that they're all vegetables. Essentially what happened is someone went crazy because they didn't get the promotion that they wanted, use magic to make all the vegetables go crazy and try to kill everybody. And it might help if I hit that. So overall, we just want to avoid hitting things because we slow down when we bop on enemies. We bop on them very... Apparently my jump button doesn't like to work. So checkpoints, they exist, I promise. Whee! Thankfully, that was not too bad of a death. Whoop. Yeah, that ground pound. Ground pounds give us a little height, so sometimes if our max height is just shy of a platform, we can actually just ground pound to get the extra height and land on top of that platform. We will abuse this in a couple levels, I promise. We're going to damage boost, hopefully. There we go. Height. And now we're at the end of the stage. And that's stage 2 done. Now, I know the game is called Kaze the Wild Mask. We have yet to see any mask. Well, that will change in this next level. We're going to come up on Thorny Tree right after passing by the secret level wall, which we just completely avoided any percent. That takes too long. So here pretty soon we're going to come across the first of our wild mask, which is the bird mask. I'll leave the explanation to... Oh, come on. Hit that platform. There we go. It turns me into a bird, essentially. My ears become wings and I can go flap, 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 and fly. So the rest of this level, we are in the bird mask and we are airborne and we try to make it through as fast as possible. There's going to be a couple points where we have to like slow down, miss some enemies, but we are going to be taking 1 intentional damage boost through this level because it's faster than waiting on the cycle. But right now we're just going to kind of float along, try to avoid purple gems if we can, avoid these flying artichokes. Alright, so now we're coming up to one of our, like, cycles are going to be important in here, especially later on. The cool thing about cycles in this level, and that's fine because we're going to get a health here and go right back up to 3 health, so we're fine. We can do that damage boost. Cycles don't start until they actually would enter the screen. So, like, these moving artichokes wouldn't pop up until I'm actually about to put them on the screen. Which will make a lot of levels later on a lot easier because you can actually plan your movement ahead of time. Because the cool thing about this game is, with the exception of one boss, there is pretty much no RNG whatsoever. So it's like Celeste in that respect, because I know Celeste had absolutely no RNG in it, and it was great. Now we come to Vine Climb. 5th level in the first hub. This is where we're going to make use of those ground pounds. So there's going to be a couple points in here where we're going to use the ground pound to our advantage to get a little extra height to do things that we want. Also, see those jars that I just went by? Avoid them. They're slow. I messed up that trick, so we're fine. We'll get it here a little bit later. So we can normally jump off that tomato and land right on that ladder if we get a ground pound just right. We'll do something similar in a little bit, but right now we'll just go right by it. Hop right over that fireball. And there we were able to take advantage of that max height with the ground pound and grab that rope ladder far earlier than we were supposed to. That's fine. I only need 1 actual health to finish this level. And sometimes you just fall through platforms. I will admit, sometimes the platforms in this game are a little janky and you will literally fall right through them. Kind of like what happened right there. It's fine. It's not the first time that's happened, and it won't be the last. Woohoo! Now we just got to avoid some cycles, take a damage here, make our way across, and that's Vine Climb. Now, one thing about casual, which I'm not doing here, because you'll notice that part of the category is no level skips. In casual, if you die on any level 8 times, you actually get the option when you start over, you will just skip this level, and it will proceed you to the next level, and it will count as a completion. We don't do that. Who wants to skip these fun levels? They're great. They're actually well designed. Now, Kaze itself was developed by a Brazilian company, so there's actually a couple fellow messenger runners that have heard about this game because it's from their native country, which is great. For the life of me off the top of my head, the actual name of the company is escaping my name. Or escaping my head, but that's okay. I will figure it out here shortly, but I highly recommend checking this game out at some point. That's not how I wanted to go, but hey, I didn't take damage, that's fine. So one thing about this level is we got these little flowers, which seem to be lighting up. There are some monsters in the game that just do not like light. We use that because it's like we need them to turn off. Damage boost. And now we're home free to the rest of the level. There's only one more of those things that we gotta hit to make them hide. Right here. And end of the level. Alright, so now we're coming into Bean Bay. The 6th level, or 7th if you count the bonus, of Hub 1. This is a water level. This is great. We get introduced to another mask, which is one of my favorites. Probably my 2nd favorite mask. Now, one thing you'll see me doing is when we get close to water, I'll probably hover. If I drop from a hover from any height and just do normal, like airdrop, I will sink underwater. If I hover, I float, cuts out that animation, but there's areas where we need to do it. And that damage boost did not work out right. Alright, now we get the shark mask. Let's just go underwater really, really fast. And if you can time a water dash right, you can just yeet yourself right out of the water. Now, there's going to be a section coming up here, because this is a really simple level. Honestly, for the remainder of this level, except for one little skip, there's really not much to talk about other than we're underwater. There's going to be one of these, a little more to talk about. So if there's any donations ready to go, feel free to chime in and drop any of them, because there's not much to talk about right here. We just zoom in. And all right, we got the cut ourselves right through there, save some time. And that's Bean Bay. All right. Now we come into our first boss of the game. Just like in most platformers, bosses have their intended mechanics. This boss, we can actually skip the intended mechanic to beat her just a little faster, and it's the only one we can really do it on. So, Mother Mona will have some cycles, she'll shoot some stuff, we gotta dodge some things, she'll shoot more things. Dash is gonna summon the baby artichokes. We gotta play dodgeball a little bit, kind of. Or hopscotch, depending on how you look at it. I'm gonna stand here and take a small damage boost and bop her on the head. Normally, you're supposed to climb these things here and hop over those flames. We ain't got time for all that. We just time a jump right and we either slightly damage boost or we just hop right over it. Mike's being muted or a thing. I've done that. That's how we do it without taking a damage boost. Ooh, now she's angry. And honestly, it's a lot of the same things. I was just gonna shoot 3 things. We dodge them. We play dodgeball with the artichokes again. Every boss in here will have 3 hits, so they're relatively short. It's just, you gotta go through the cycles. Stand here. This is just outside the range of that attack. And there we go. That's Mother Mona down. Okay, so we might have a slight issue here. Every now and then, entering this cutscene, Kaze will crash, and we may have happened with that, and that is what's happening. So bear with me one moment while we restart this.
All good.
Marathon things.
Game, right?
Marathon things.
Of course.
If these...
Well, while you're booting that back up, because I kind of forgot to unmute my mic last time when you said I can read things. No donations quite yet, but you know what? I believe in our wonderful chat. But I do want to talk a little bit about Child's Play. So since 2003, Child's Play has partnered with children's hospitals all across the globe. Partner hospitals receive an annual gift designated to support their child life department through games and technology. Another really cool thing is where they have it available, some of the hospitals actually have Amazon wishlist tailored specifically for their needs. So yeah, definitely check out that Child's Play site. I'm actually going to go ahead and link it in chat. Some really cool information. And don't forget that this is a charity we are going for, so definitely get those donations in and let's raise some money.
Yeah. All right. So, we all love ice physics, right? Right? No one loves ice physics. No one loves ice physics. What are you talking about? Unfortunately,
I'm the only weird one that actually doesn't mind them.
Well, unfortunately, that is the entirety of this level, is ice physics. Don't worry, ice physics get better later on in one of these levels. But yeah, so this level we are doing our best to slide around. Now, like with most levels, we just want to avoid things. We are running into an enemy that's only here. It's the bobsled carrots. And we just want to avoid them. Whee! Now, there's going to be one section where, as you come across enemies like that, where they're chained up, where we will actually get insane speed off of them. I had my cycle wrong there. There we go. Ice physics are like Yoshi's, very much so. You either love them or you hate them. So, like I said, this is kind of similar to Donkey Kong. The makers of this game were very fascinated with 8-bit platformers. So we got another homage to Donkey Kong here because... Remember what I said about those things being slow? Oh my god. Yeah, they are slow. It uses up a whole bunch of animation just to pick them up. Well, anyway, like I was saying, like Donkey Kong, we got these little slingshot things that are like the barrels. Hey, I know I live in Texas, that's fine. But you know what? I like the cold, I just don't like ice physics. Now, the majority of this level is we're going to do what we can to try to skip some of these cycles. Like, I don't need those other two things there. We're going to come across... Oh, yeah, we just skipped that too. X button didn't work right. But there we go. Damage boost through there. There we go. Pop. Now we're going to come up one that's actually kind of a very harsh timing. All right, we got it. We skip a whole lot of stuff that we don't actually need. There we go. Nice and easy. All right. Next one up is going to be Tiger Popsicle. So, we get more snow. There's no ice physics. It's just cold. But we're going to get my favorite mask in the game on this level. Now, we want to try to skip a lot of these cycles. Unfortunately, my timing was off. And we're just going to skip right over all of that. We're going to attempt to skip right over all of that. Whee! And skip a cycle right here. Now we just zoom. Tiger Mask has a dash attack that I just completely goofed up right there. There we go. It resets itself whenever you bounce, and it keeps going when you chain through enemies. So we try to use it as much as possible in any levels where we have it, because it's just fast. The cool thing is, later on, we use my favorite mask on my favorite boss in the game, but we'll get that in Hub 3. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Now that you mention it, yeah, it is very much like Jazz Jackrabbit. Ooh, alright, we damage boosters to that, which we didn't want to do to begin with, but that's fine. Whee! And over we go. We got more health. Bop. Now we just zoom through here. We don't care that we take damage, because we're at the end of the level. And there we go. That's it. Now that mask is going to be great later on, because there's a few times where that's just a really fun one. But it is by far my favorite. Now, Ropes of Hope has... It's cycles, very much cycles, because we got ropes we hang from. Unfortunately, a lot of these are cycles we can't skip, so it's a little slow, which is fine. At least it's not an auto-scroller, because we all love auto-scrollers, right? Now you gotta watch the timing on that guy because he will sit on your head if you don't do it right. And it will hurt. And we slide down this rope. Now there's a lot of cycles that we're just gonna hang at the bottom of the rope and do nothing because we just skip all of these vegetables or fruits if they're tomatoes in this respect. And we just want to skip. That's about the only cycle we can actually skip. As long as you don't accidentally jump off the rope. At least it was not a very bad one. But we're going to play that a little safe this time. Oh yeah. Her ears do everything. They helicopter spin so you can float. They climb ropes. They zip line. Kaze's amazing. So the general story on this is like she's the only one of her little bunny tribe thing that's actually surviving. Her brother is the little orb following me around. So he's keeping me safe while I try to beat what's her name? Typhoon, which we will come across later on. Now there's ice physics, and then there's wind physics. You know what's even better than each of them individually? Both of them together. Especially wind physics that change mid-stride. I will say, however, that even though we got wind physics, this is probably my favorite level with the bird mask. Bop. All right. Now we just got to battle the wind. Now, the cool thing is with the way that Kaze moves with the bird mask, there's going to be a lot of these cycles we're going to skip as long as we play it right. Also, hitboxes. In bird form, she's got a really small hitbox for some reason, except her feet. Her feet seem to be gigantic and hit everything. So this is going to be our first one. We're going to hold down to get a low bop there and just cut right in front of that pumpkin. That's okay. That's not. I did not want to take that extra damage right there. But you know what? We're okay. We're fine. We've only got to dodge these big flaming pumpkins. Now, this is where I was talking about, like, cycles. Like, you know when they start as soon as they enter the screen, and you're fine. You can just fly right through them. Just zipping right on through. All right. What's funny is I hit the easiest, or the hardest one, the easiest. I got that damage list, and all the easy ones were just kind of like, oh, no, you're going to take damage. All right, now we're on Forgotten Mask. Because on the story, all of the masks belong to martial arts masters. So you got the bird, you got the shark, and you got the tiger. Everybody forgot about the lizard. The lizard turns you into the minecart from Donkey Kong. You literally automatically move forward, and all you do is jump and ground pound. That's it. So it's literally... It's pretty much an auto-scroller, every single one of these levels. So this would also be a time for it if we have any. Otherwise, if there's any incentives or anything that we want to talk about, that'll work too.
Alright, no donations in quite yet, but I definitely know that we're gonna go ahead and get them. But yeah, we have some really cool stuff going on, so definitely go check out some of the incentives that we have. We have a couple polls going on. So next we have Cyber Shadow, choose Shadow's colors. So we have a bit more going on for that. We also have Shovel Knight Showdown, top 2 characters bid war. So far we have Plague Knight and Spectre Knight.
Wait, when did they add color change to Cyber Shadow?
I'm not sure.
Interesting. Yeah, so the last bit of this level is just chaining ground pounds and jumps so that way we make it to the end and not fall in, and there we go. That is Forgotten Mask. Yeah, okay, Samurai. 2 weeks ago? Okay. I haven't played in a few months, so that explains that. I'll have to check that out. Alright, Pumpkin Pyre. This is probably one of my favorite levels in the game, hands down. Just because the way the mechanics work and the floating, if you do it just right, it's a real smooth level. Because there's cycle skips, there's hovering. Sometimes there's close calls like that where you get hit when you're not supposed to, but that's fine. So a lot of this is you're just taking advantage of these fire drafts, so that way you can gradually climb through. Every now and then you'll get a visual glitch where you hear the ears whirling, but the ears aren't moving. It only happens in this level to my knowledge. I don't know how it does it, but it's just funny. Alright, and now there's a couple spots like that where you gotta watch out where you're going, because if you do it wrong, you will end up in those spikes, and that kind of hurts. This is also one of those levels where we take advantage of the cycles not starting, so we have very specific things, especially right here on this screen. We literally hold the ears for just a couple seconds and we just cut right through them. And we're faster than the pumpkin. We beat it. Alright. So, I know I said bosses have cycles. A lot of them aren't too bad. This one, on the other hand, is dodge the bullet hell cycle, the boss. However, it has the best boss music in the game. So each cycle is going to involve these little pumpkins coming across. Oh yeah, by the way, Bird Mask shoots. And through the cycles, we're going to have those red tomatoes that we're just going to shoot. It takes 2 of those tomatoes to go through to bring Buck down. Now, the interesting thing about this one is each of these cycles, because it's always a directional change, is a cycle. So we go from left to right to top to bottom. Next phase goes back left, right, top to bottom, so on and so forth. Each cycle will have its own tomato. And you have until the end of the cycle or that tomato falls off screen for you to hit it. Otherwise, it just repeats the cycle. We don't want to repeat cycles. Those are slow. Cycle 2, or phase 2, has wind. The wind isn't that bad. You just know where you need to hover, where you go through, where you come down, where you miss the tomato. That's fine. Hey, you just kind of float back, because you're going to be right about here, and you just kind of dodge all of the pumpkins. Like I said, hitbox. My back was literally in that pumpkin, and I still didn't get hit. Da, 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 da. Also, if you like the music in this game, it is available on Spotify. I will have to remember the composer's name, but it's well worth checking out. And we got Friend in Red right here. Now, if you notice, I keep trying to shoot off the screen. If you get it just right, you can actually hit him off the screen and cut a little bit of time off. It's just difficult because I don't have it memorized yet. So phase 3, we kind of hover towards the bottom. Then we cut up top. Hover around the top. Homie in Red's right here. And it's like I said, it's a lot of dodging, a lot of cycles. Nothing too interesting about this boss. Oh no, it's diagonal. What do we do? What do we do? We dodge it. Just the same way. You only have to do a little bit of movements. Now we're going to hover down here, because when Buck comes in, he's going to aim at you, but he rotates really, really slow. So we're waiting for him to come on screen. Then we're going to hop over. Instead of shoot him, we're just going to stomp on his face. We're mean like that. And that's Hub 2. We are done with ice. Now we get poison. Alright. So now we're going on to Toxic Tide. That's Hub 3. This is where we're going to start having levels with, like, rising like acid following you up and things like that. So as each hub goes along, as you would expect, they get a little more difficult. So there's new mechanics get introduced, new enemies. Like this one, we have the starfish. The starfish, normally, like, they can't be killed. All they do is hurt you. Normally, you want to try to avoid them. So at least in casual, because you have 3 health, you run into them. Damage is your best friend in this level. Also, Pickle Rick. I know that's not it, but that's literally the only starfish we don't run into, because it's literally out of our way by the time we get to it. All the other ones, we run head first. We want the damage. Unfortunately, it means we run into a letter, but you know what? It's faster. Dodge some vines, smash some tomatoes. Now, one cool thing is if you ever start running this and you're taking damage, every time you run across those giant checkpoints, there is a heart guaranteed to be right after it. So regardless of whether you're running original or casual, if you see a checkpoint, you're going to get healed. Now we got Ghostfish. Ghostfish is going to chase us. We are going to run from Ghostfish. We have no more health. We must be careful, otherwise we die. And we make it through these artichokes, and we're at the end of the level. And that's it. Now that Ghostfish is going to come into play in a couple levels later. There's going to be one lizard level and another underwater level where we got to run from the Ghostfish. Because he just hurts. So Marinette, I know you liked her climbing ropes with her ears. What about ziplining with ears? How does that sound?
I mean, that sounds amazing, honestly.
Well,
And
she does a
I'm so
lot.
Excited to see this. I need to see this now.
Well, she will do a lot of it in this level once I actually get to them. And there's another level where you're racing wind on ziplines too, so. And there's a whole bonus level dedicated to her on these things. We just won't see that, unfortunately. Now, one thing with the zip lines on this level is we do want to dodge some cycles. So there's going to be plenty of jumping and just trying not to run into pumpkins like that as best as we can. Now, I shouldn't need any more health because I'm not going to do any other damage boost. Now we literally zipline, avoid tomatoes and their fireballs, and dodge the pumpkins. Alright, so we're going to come up on a string of pumpkin cycles where we got to do a lot of dodging. They're all set cycles, so it's not like we have a whole lot that we need to memorize and react to. But I have been known to forget my cycles every now and then. So let's hope I don't get hit, because I have no health. So we're going up and down and up and jump and down and up and jump and slide to victory. Alright, now this next level, it's fun, but it's also, there's one point in here that's just kind of annoying because it doesn't matter how hard I try, I cannot help but getting hit. So we're in a level where we're going to run into beasts for the first time. Yeah, it very much does. I didn't think about that until you said that. But yeah, that last thing was just like, yeah, we're just going to play a little dance with the pumpkins. We also get introduced to bananas for the first time. And we got bad beats. Oh my. Now, bananas can be annoying because if you spin on them, they will ruin your spin jump. And you will just jump straight into the water. The beats, however, are probably the more annoying one because they just hop out of the ground at the worst possible time. You can also just completely, like, ground pound straight into the water, too. That's fine. We're good. It wasn't too far from the checkpoint, so we're fine. That's where we wanted to go. That's the part where I can never stop but take damage. And yeets! briefly, but it works. We're going to stand on this one so we can raise this one, and we get all the height we need. We don't need to mess with any of the other ones. We're supposed to try to balance these things at the right time to make certain jumps, but we ain't got time to do that. We just jump over them. Who needs to wait for balancing acts? Alright, our next level is going to be Gusty Cliffs. Now this one, if it's the one I'm remembering right, it's got the, yeah, we've got slingshots, we got a tornado chasing us, and we got the zoom in tiger mask. It's all fun. I was not supposed to do that there. Sometimes we go too fast. There we go. As always, we try to skip things when we can, because it's just faster. And we got the zoom-in mask. Now, there's going to be a couple points where we're going to do this a little differently than what's intended on the level, because it's faster to, like, zoom out in the middle of nowhere and just gradually bounce on something instead of taking the slingshots. Like right there. We back up a little bit, we actually skip an entire cycle, and we don't have to climb on the wall. And we'll actually do that later on in this level, towards the end, because we ain't got time for the normal route. And chain a whole bunch of carrots together. We're going to skip that one altogether. We're going to skip that one too. And up we go. Taking all of them is just slow. We ain't got time for that. Alright, Toxic Lake. This is the first instance of a level where we got a hazard chasing us from the ground up. So this is a mostly vertical level. Kind of like Thorny Tree at the beginning, except we don't have the wings. We literally have to jump. And I want to say the world record IL holder for this does something around the tune of like 18 or so ground pounds. That person is not me. I only do like 8 or 9, but they come in handy. They cut some time off. Grab that for safety. Try to avoid those guys without getting hit. Now, there's going to be some watermelon guys. I beat one up earlier. They are the bane of my existence, because if you hit them wrong, they fling you back a lot, and it almost always results in me getting, well, melted by the acid. That's just not fun at all, in the slightest. I did that wrong. That's fine. We can take that damage there. I always take that damage boost, so we're good. Avoid that one. We can actually make that jump instead of hitting the platform. It's great. Her ears are long. And we're coming towards the end of the level. Now that acid is going to start rising a little faster here in a minute. And I almost messed it up and fell in there. So that last part, you'll always take the same side. Ideally, you want to try to go on the right, because you literally zip up the right side. Because if you go left, you have a tendency to miss. Because you forget there's not a third left one. Auto-scrollers! We like auto-scrollers, don't we? Don't we?
Favorite.
You're just gonna like everything I hate, don't you?
I mean, that's my general personality, yes.
That's fair. Now, overall, this isn't too bad. It's just, there's going to be certain points where we just have to roll with it. And then every time we run across a letter we would normally collect, except for this one, we can actually just skip to the next auto-scroller. So the K is the only one we don't skip because, well, if we try to skip to the next auto-scroller, we'll die because it's not there yet. But there's going to be a point later where the camera doesn't move with us and we got to do a blind jump. That part's fun. And here we are. Camera cuts here. It cuts here and on the second auto-scroller. And that's it. Now, The one thing that's annoying about this level is when you're playing in original, if you fall in the pit and you're on the third auto-scroller, you have to go all the way back to that giant checkpoint crystal. And you lose out on 2/3 progress in the level. So it's very punishing. So we try not to die. But when I get towards the end of this level, I will be quiet slightly because I'm going to be listening for a very specific audio cue to make sure I can make the off-screen jump and not fall to my death. So we're coming up on the third auto-scroller here. For the most part, we're fine. We're only going to be on this platform for a little bit because after a certain point, we're just going to be on regular ground while this thing is trying to cut itself underneath and over everything. Because ideally, you're supposed to try to hop between all of these things. I almost missed that. Fell to my death because I hit something wrong. And quiet. Alright. So what I was listening for there is that's the only part where when you jump off and you exit the screen, the camera doesn't catch up to you. So what I was doing, I was listening for the ear twirls. As soon as they stop, that means I've touched ground. And I take half a step and I jump, and I step straight into the ending portal. If I do it beforehand, I will actually fall to my death because I've let go of the ear twirl. So I prefer not to die and waste 2/3 of the level and do it again. Oh look, Ghostfish is back. Red flowers make him angry. Blue flowers shut him off, kind of like the nighttime. And we this mask again. So the gist of this level is jump around, hit as many blue flowers as possible, avoid the red ones, and just don't jump down a pit. Except you gotta come close to it there. The unfortunate thing is the optimal path in this level runs you into 3 of the 4 Kaze letters. So it will be the longest ending sequence. Okay, never mind, I ran into 4 of them. We skip the A. Sometimes you run into it. So this will be the longest ending sequence on the level completion because we gotta wait for all 4 letters to complete and to do its little fanfare. But that's okay. If we only do it on 1 level, we're fine. One of these days I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna route an all letters run and just to see how long that takes. Because I know the 100% on this takes roughly 2.5 hours. So, a little long for my tastes for this kind of game. But it was fun. I would highly recommend... Oh, alright, there we go. That's what we call giving ourselves a heart attack. I almost ground pounded too late, meaning I would have just ground pounded straight into a pit. We all love just doing that, don't we? Oh, we're at the end of the level already.
This time I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes that. Alright. And now we can actually get out of the ending screen. Yeah, those letters are just there. Alright. So... Olaf. Olaf's my favorite boss. Because I get to use the tiger mask throughout this entire thing. We go zooming all the time. And so what we're going to be doing here is... There's so many cycles to avoid. But the thing is, the cycles are always the same. So you know where to stand. And sometimes you forget your cycles and you run straight into something you need to jump over. Kavalka. Speaking of someone who is really good at this game, I believe he holds like 1st or 2nd place on most of the individual levels. Alright, well, I'm trying to look at chat and do this at the same time, then I goof. That's 100% on me. But I still think overall...
We forgive you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all for a good time. I just wish the game hadn't crashed because I was doing so well. Pop.
It's that marathon luck, but you know what? It has still been an awesome run, and watching this, like, I really want to play this now.
I mean, it's a great casual game. Now, me being a speedrunner, all I did was go through and find a way to be fast. Because, I mean, that's what we do. We go fast.
I mean, you guys just embody Sonic.
We try. Although, I'm a little ashamed to say I don't remember the last time I played Sonic. Ooh, that was almost bad. Whee! And now we're just avoiding some cycles off on the side. Alright, there we go. Alright, we survived. We're good. We got a couple more cycles like this, and Olaf will be coming out here in... right after this. No, sorry, right after this. I was off. Bop. And there he goes. Alrighty. See, I also have a tendency to play not as good when I'm talking about the game. I usually have a commentator for this, but I don't know anybody that can that was available at the time. So I'm doing what I can. I might not play as great, but it's okay. That's what. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Amazing.
See, if I try to do this in Messenger, it looks completely horrible, which is why I get people like Minus to do the work for me, because I play so much better at that. All right, so now we're gonna have angry lava coming up at us for a little bit, and then we're gonna turn into a bird again and just fly above lava. The cool thing is doing that ground pound there actually saves us a cycle, so we could skip the artichoke firing at us. Ground pound up to there. And over we go. And that's... See, I did that so fast, I didn't even know there was lava under us. Because here it comes rushing up. Alright, we got the starfish back. We're going to generally avoid them. I'm going to try to pick up, since I took damage in Olaf, I'm going to try to pick up health right here, because there's going to be a point coming up in casual. Since you have 3 health, you can actually double damage boost and skip the cycle. So, provided I don't goof it, we should see something save a decent amount of time in this level over normal. So we avoid these by literally flying up the middle. The spacing on these is great because we get to just avoid things. All right, so we didn't goof. So we are going to... Oh, I made that cycle. Normally I take the 2 damage boosts right there with the starfish. That is the first time I've made that cycle without getting hit by the bottom starfish. So that's great. That's the marathon luck I want to see. Unfortunately, we're just going to wait through these real quick because I want my health for later on. Zap the Pickle Rick. And now we're just going to fall really fast. Or try to. And there we go. Alright, so we're going to hover over on one side of this real quick because we're going to make a cut right here. Because that's going to be the only top cycle we really see. So we don't have to try to avoid the other ones coming through. Because we're going to get to the gap before they get to us. And we just fly right up. There's no dodging, no ducking. Now we're at the end of the level. It's basically a bullet hell climb. We got to avoid all the artichokes firing their stuff at us. If you time it right, you literally fly between them. It's great. There we go. That's Volcanic Star. All right. We get to zipline with ears again. This time with a tornado chasing us. We don't really need that, but I'm picking it up anyway because I want gold guy. I want my gold brother. All right, so we got the air gusts again, so we're gonna kind of use those to our advantage. Slow fall into places, use them to climb up. Bounce on jellies, which is gonna be the focus of the next level. That level's fun. I love that level. hover a little bit. We're going to get to the zip lines a little later, but a lot of this is cycles and trying not to fall into a pit. Ground pound our way up there. Try not to fall into the pit again. And zip line our way across. Now we do this just right. We jump straight over Eggplant Boy. And 3 quick drops, right? Or 2 quick drops. 3 drops is dead. We don't want to die. Now there's a couple points in this one where you're supposed to wait for certain cycles. We don't have time for that. We just skip a lot of them. Because hovering, we can just make it through. Like, we don't need to wait on those jellies. We just fly right over them. It's faster. These jellies, however, we do need, because otherwise we'll not make it up there. Also, I have done this many a time. If you're playing this and you use your spin button while you're on these hooks, you just fall off. Don't fall off. 3 quick zip lines. Skip over a couple tomatoes. And there we go. So for anybody who does like Donkey Kong games and things like that, you'll see that a lot of these levels, for the most part, except for the bosses, are relatively short. The cool thing is once you beat a level, you can actually go back in, and there is a stopwatch. So there is a time attack, and there are leaderboards on there. I have not spent too much time on ILs because I just generally like running the whole game. But if you like challenging yourself, it's a great thing to do. I've gone through and I've at least got the gold medals on every level. But I want to say, I really wish they put like platinum times in there, because there's some people like Kalvaka who are just insanely fast. I could not hope to match that speed, but they could very easily get platinum medals if they had them. Now we're gonna have a couple skips right here, where we're just gonna end up like skipping some of these, well, we're gonna try not to launch ourselves into the spike ceiling. Normally I would damage boost there, but I need this health for later on in the level to make a cycle skip. And so right here, if we do this just right, we just skip that entire thing right there. It saves us some time. We're gonna hover here, bop on him, and now we basically just mash launch. We skip through a cycle, damage boost through here, and there we go. All right. Now we're coming into the last full level that's dedicated to the lizard mask, called Zip Lizard. For the longest time speedrunning, I used to die here so many times, it's not funny. Because some of the cycles at the end of the level are crazy. Then I learned how to do it and it wasn't fun. It wasn't bad. Also, jumping on those vines like that, I don't think I ever said anything like the vines or the ropes like that is faster than walking across them. It's just little things. Roar! We're lizard again. Bunk. Up here and down here. There's gonna be one point where I gotta make a timed jump because... Okay, normally that banana doesn't fire that quick. That was a little off. Well, we gotta try again. It's fine. Alright. This time, we'll just do that early. There we go. Now we gotta jump here, ground pound, and do that here. There's too many times I have died there because I've just completely missed that tomato. And a lot of this level is just up and down and up and down, and we sound more like some dance stuff, but you know what? That's fine. Now this level is going to rely on a lot of bouncing on enemies because we need them to make gaps, which is fine. Save points, we're here. Now this is where we're going to have some interesting cycles because we got to bounce on bananas multiple times. Because we got to take advantage of that in order to make it across. Later on, we got to do it with 3 bananas. Got to do a whole bunch of juggling.
That's just bananas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Be careful though, you might slip up. because I've done that a number of times. Slipping on those peels. Alright.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too appealing.
A mod is actually relatively easy. I think I picked up the game in less than a week. I had my first, like... The original runs are a little harder because a little more punishing. Because each death is roughly 30-second time loss. Casual is a little more forgiving. But I want to say I picked it up in about a week after finishing it. I probably spent about 12 hours in the game, 100%ing the achievements. But it's definitely worth it. Like, it's real easy, it's simple, and a lot of the time save is just frames for like how you jump and how you spin and things like that. Alright, so we all remember the ghost fish, right? They'll be chasing us all through this level. So we got the pineapple crabs back. And so a lot of this level is going to be like the other ones where they're at night, where we want to try to keep it as light as possible. Jump over some things. Now we're going to not jump there because we want to be able to go under here. Now, I've actually got to do a little bit of tinkering with something on this level. There was one time I came across where if I got hit right after that ghost fish, he just stopped chasing me until he first appears underwater. And I don't know why, but it's fun, because it skips some things. I just have not been able to replicate it too often, so it might just be a weird glitch. And we got more ghost fish. This level has a lot of those artichokes. They are on very specific cycles, so if you know where to go, you just swim in certain spots, and you avoid every single one of them. Sometimes you run into a tomato, but that's okay. We just try to move as fast as... We try to move fast without running into things. Alright, so since I don't have health, I'm taking this... Try to take it a little carefully. Didn't work in my favor, but that's okay. My mind went to try to skip like in one of the levels beforehand, and you can't really do that on this one. They're not spaced out enough. Thankfully, this level just throws hearts at you. Also, for the majority of this level, we are faster than that fish. We do not need to hit every single one of the blue bulbs. I can actually avoid them for the remainder of this level, and he still won't catch me. Because you just move fast underwater with that. Alright, so now we're running into the last 3 levels. We got another toxic lake level with the acid under us. We're going to have another level with fire, and then we run into Typhoon, who is the last boss. So this level is, we got platforms that will disappear, they sink into the acid, so we only have a limited time on them. You also got to make sure you land on them when they're actually up, because they disappear. Sometimes we have areas like this where we can just zip right over it, no big deal. But we get the tiger mask, we get to go zoom in. And a lot of this level is just being careful, timing your jumps and your dashes just right. We can get a slight little skip there. Now, since I'm just going to be mostly just zipping and focusing a little bit, if we have anything with the charity we want to talk about, this would actually be a great time.
I actually do have a donation that came in from, let's see who this is, the Phantom Meyer, saying, had to get this to 666.66 because meme numbers are hilarious. That's true. That's very true. Thank you so much, Phantom Meyer, for that $5.97 donation.
Yeah, we all love the memes. I mean, I'm a dad. I love telling jokes and memes. And that rumble means the acid is now chasing us. So now we're vertical. And a lot of this is we're going to hang on the sidewall and we watch these platforms. So I can ignore the one on the left because the one on the right is going to take me where I need to go. We only do the one on the left if we have a secret area we want to hit. Yeah. I'm really good at them because I'm a parent. So are my jokes. That was a bad one. I do apologize. And there is nothing wrong with that. Alright, that was Circuit Capers. Now we're coming into Scalding Gears. As you can see with the background of the level, it's lava rotating platforms. Lots of timing involved. And so a lot of this, like, there's ways where we could just kind of get through a lot of this. Be careful. There are some skips, but I might play it a little safe just because I've already had enough deaths as it is in the marathon, so I'm trying to play a little safe in this. And bonk, bonk. I like those tomatoes because you can just constantly bounce on them. And I almost always confuse that particular cycle with a different one, and I almost always die there. I try not to do that. Alright, we're at the checkpoint. Halfway through this pretty hot level. Almost missing a cycle. Skip that letter. That's the cycle I always try to confuse it for. Alright, and I cut that too early. That was too early. If you do it a little bit higher, you actually skip some of the cycles there, and I just did it a little too early. No big deal. Or I jumped from the wrong one, because apparently I did it from the wrong one. Whee! Alright, and now we're at the end of the level. Alright. That was Scalding Gears. 1 death, which is actually a record for me, because I die almost at least twice. Alright. We're on the big bad boss herself, Typhoon. So the lore on this is, think kind of like Kung Fu Panda. You had the tiger that was all evil because he was so powerful and thought he was going to be the master. That's essentially what happened here. Now we have to stop her. But the cool thing is all we have to do is collect purple gems. This is the only time we want purple gems. The cool thing is they're in a cycle that I almost goofed up. They spawn in the same spots every time. So if you know where they're spawning, you can actually map things out. Now, every time you bop on her, it glitches. She teleports you somewhere, and you're in one of the masks. And so I just basically got to avoid things, stay alive, hit this portal. We're on to phase 2. Things have changed. We're in a new area. We have to collect 6 more gems. Now this one I want her to do that because I need her to go on that side so I can get a couple things this way. I can actually get my next few gems without having to worry about her. That's fine. I did that too early. And there's phase 2. Bop her on the head. Now we're the shark. This is about the only time I don't spin with him because I will almost always run into things. So we just swim fast, make our way through. Now I spin, we're here. Phase 3. This is all about the off-screen crystals. Because I can collect almost all of them off the screen without dying or getting hit by her. Now, she's going to do a different attack, zap both sides. We just hover here in the middle for a little bit. Climb back up to the left, then the right. Bop her again. Lizard Mask. We run, jump, and dodge our way through these fireballs. Now, the only unfortunate thing about this boss is, just like all the other ones, if you die, you have to go back and redo the entire thing. I was going to explain that instead of actually show it, but hey, why not? I promise that was not intentional. So now we just get to see this whole thing again. How are we doing on estimate, by the way? That's my timer got all goofed up with the reset.
So we started the timer a little bit late, but it looks like we're around 1 hour and 5 minutes, if I have to guess.
Okay. So with the deaths, we're about on par for where I figured we would be. I estimated a little over because marathon luck. Things happened. Because the unfortunate thing is, this is also the longest boss fight in the game. So having to restart here was just a little unfortunate. But this time I'll just make sure I don't fat finger the wrong button. Because like I said, since everything is kind of a cycle, you kind of know where it's at. So you just make sure you just hit those gems on time and you're good to go. So the last phase is we basically zoom along and we wait on the last wall. So we didn't really miss much. There wasn't much to that fight other than dodge everything. And here we go. And 2 and 3. That's 5. Crystal number 6. There we go. Slight damage boost there for no reason. Alright. Now, this time we're going to dash over this instead of ground pound. Like that. So this part is just, you're on platforms that are moving. We're going to actually skip climbing on that one. And now we're just going to avoid that blue fireball. Time's going to happen whenever we do the last hit on Typhoon. We just have to wait for her to get in front of this pillar and turn white. And time. And that's Kaze and the Wild Masks.
GG, that was a really fun run to watch.
It is a fun run to play. So,
right. Is there anything that you want to say? Any shout outs, or where can we find you?
Well, I'm primarily on Twitch, twitch.tv/Miinfin. I every now and then post on Twitter. To find me on Twitch, it's usually Sunday through Wednesday. Sundays, sometimes morning, sometimes evenings, Monday through Wednesdays at night. And I'm usually speedrunning games. I do Kaze, I do Messenger, and I've picked up Astalon, Tears of the Earth, and I've started doing runs on that. So Strizer has been doing a lot with that, and I've been getting into it too, so we'll see where that goes. But shout out wise, thank you very much to Carter and everyone involved for letting me help out with the marathon. Let's get some more money raised for kids in need with Child's Play. And everyone with Sedesco and whatnot that helped put out this game, because it's great to play. It is about $20 on Steam. Go get it if you love platformers. There's no words in the storyline. but all of the animation is amazing. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to say, so I'll pass it right on to you, and we'll get on to the next round.
Alright. Yeah, everybody go ahead and go follow Miinfin. Definitely a fun run, super cool runner. Up next, we have Super C Glitchless by the Phantom Mire. So we're going to take a real quick break, a little bit of intermission, and then we're going to be right back.